So one more I've got here that I want to share, and again, this is from a report that I actually received a long time ago. Had permission to publish it, as the person says. Thank you for your interest in my story. Don't mind if you publish it, as long as stated previously you do not use my name. And as I always say, if you'd like me to share your story, just let me know and I will. If you don't want me to use your name, just say so and I won't. I think it's simpler if I just don't, and that way we don't run into that. But anyway, this one here comes from a different area of the state, and this would be central Oklahoma, and it'd be just a little bit north of Lake Texoma, which is, that's a very big lake, probably the second biggest lake in Oklahoma. I believe the biggest one is Eufaula, but this one runs right along the Oklahoma-Texas border down there, and this comes from back in the mid 1980s. And this person had contacted me and shared their story, and I'm going to share it with you. And the person says, my particular story happened several years ago, but I've since heard of other sightings in the same area. And it goes on to say that it was in the mid 80s, 1985. It says the weather, September actually, the weather had been very nice, and several of my friends and I decided to go camping. My best friend's father pulled a small camping trailer out into the woods for us, and Friday after school, said we were in high school at the time, we all met at the trailer. He said, unfortunately, a cold front had come in that day, and only a few of us decided to stay. And that's just September for Oklahoma. It may be 103 degrees one day and just, drop down to 40 in the evening. So you just never can tell. She said, anyway, a cold front come in that day, and only a few of us decided to stay. At about midnight that night, this person went home but returned the following night and stayed the night. And said, this may not seem important, but, has to tell the whole story. I'll go on. You'll understand when I'm finished. When I returned the following day, there were only me and two other girls there. Everyone else got too cold and went home. So she said, her and her best friend stayed awake talking, and later two male friends stopped by and said that was about 10 o'clock at night. And I'd been needing to go to the bathroom for some time, so I went outside. Said the trees surrounding the trailer were small, and I didn't want our male friends to see me, so I walked a little way down a trail nearby. The trail came out on a small road, and that's where I stopped. As I mentioned before, it was very cold, so I had my head down to block the wind from my face. As I stopped, I lifted my head and started to unbutton my pants and froze, and said there, standing not 15 feet in front of this individual, was a large white animal. She used the term he, said he was huge, very muscular and powerfully built. Although I could not see its features in the dark, I knew that it was facing me by the way the body was silhouetted. I'd always thought it would be neat to see something like that, but it was not neat at all. And I've heard of other people say that as well, that when they did have one of these encounters, it was not near as neat as what they thought it would. So I guess you should be careful what you wish for. So anyway, she said it would be neat to see something like that, she thought before, but it was not neat at all. I'd never felt so terrified in my life. It was huge, and I knew it could tear me apart with little effort. This person says she turned and bolted back to the trailer as fast as she could. And when she jerked the door open and ran in, one of the guys, she said, laughed at her and says, you look like you've seen a ghost. And she didn't want to, say what she'd seen, so she just said, oh, I'm just cold, that's all. And later on, she had heard that a couple of other girls had been out in the woods in that area and had reportedly seen the same description of this creature looking at them from behind a tree. Watching them, and they described it as white also. I'd said in an earlier video that very rarely did I get a report of a white Bigfoot creature. This is one of the other of the few. And I was going through them today, looking through all my past files, and I think I've got a total of 4 that I received. They're not all from the same area, but as far as white, there are only these 2. I've got a couple others of a grayish brown or a grayish creature reported. So anyway, that is that report. And this girl later on in the Of course, she'd be my age now if this happened back in the 80s. She did not feel that this creature was benevolent. She felt that it could be aggressive, even reported that later in the evening something had walked up to the trailer there is in and beat on it a few times. Of course, if you're not seeing what's beating on it, that could be a person, so I don't want to jump to conclusions, but she felt that it probably was this same creature that did that. So anyway, there you go. That's another one from the state of Oklahoma there. That's where I live, so I tried to focus on my reports that I got in the state that I live. I don't limit it to that. If you have a report that you would like to share, just drop me an email at bigfootandmore@yahoo.com, and I'll look at it. If you want me to share it on the YouTube channel, I'd be happy to do so. If you don't want me to share it, but just want me to see it, that's fine too. I won't. So anyway, as I've said before, if you like what I'm doing here with this channel, want to see more of it, don't forget to share and subscribe. And again, as always, thank you for watching.